know what time.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
Holy.
Should have given myself a little more time to drive over here. Wait at the last minute.
Did you get your hair and makeup people set up?
I did not.
Oh, okay. I'm kidding. She doesn't have hair and makeup
Obvious.
people.
I was about to say, you got to share. Share the wealth.
Maybe a little mani petty too.
Yeah, under the table.
That's where you were, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Huh?
I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Look at this. Does
Yeah.
this look like a girl who gets manicures?
No.
No.
Never
No.
too late to
It's
start.
And I know what that looks like because my wife does.
Yeah,
Drives me
she's
insane.
Very put together.
No. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do in the foundry. Willie?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Go. Okay. Hold on. Go ahead, Willie. Give us a little bit of ideas what you do.
I do. I'm Willie Slayden. I'm a second shift supervisor now. Been here almost 2 years now. So
Okay.
next week will be my 2-year anniversary. Started off on the floor being a utility work and a grinder. So now I'm second shift supervisor, and it's just awesome. I really like it. It's enjoyable.
Good.
Yeah.
What, Andrea?
Andrea McDermott. I'm kind of from around the area, so I graduated college back May 2020, mid-COVID. And
That was fun.
It was a little hard to find jobs. People weren't exactly hiring, but I did have a few connections here at AY McDonald. I actually didn't even know that this was a brass foundry, which is funny because when I was in college, I went to school for industrial studies, and I actually took a bunch of foundry classes at Platteville because that's one of the programs. And we did a tour here back in November of 2019, and that was when I first found out that this place was also a foundry.
Yeah.
Cool.
And not only is it, that there's a foundry, but it's a brass foundry, which in the foundry world is pretty rare.
Yeah.
There's not too many of them in the
Yeah.
United States,
Right.
let alone the world. So that was really, really interesting, and knowing people that worked here and they had such great things to say about it, I was like, okay, this seems like a really good opportunity. So I'm pretty glad that I jumped on that wagon, and here I am. I'm a first shift industrial foundry tech. So
And how long have you worked here?
I've been here since last week of July last year.
Very
So
cool.
just about a year.
Yeah, I call her my sand lady.
Is that right?
Sand
Yeah.
lady?
Why is that?
Whenever she just works really hard with the sand system.
Yeah.
So I'm just learning a little bit better. So anytime I think of anything that deals with sand, every time I click on something, her name's attached. So I
Okay.
just call her the sand lady.
There's worse things to be called.
Yes, exactly. So, a lot of people have never been in a foundry before. I'll tell you, when I first started here, we had the deal where you kind of walk your family through the company, and my mom, who lived here her entire life, didn't even know we had a foundry out here. So it's unusual. So, what's one thing that would surprise people about the foundry who have never been in a foundry before?
First of all, the most surprising thing is when I talk to people and I tell them that I work in a foundry, their first response is, "What's a foundry?" And it's funny because I was the same. I didn't know what a foundry was till I was in college and exposed to the metals program that we had. And it's something that you just don't think about. Most people think, oh yeah, my parts for my sink and stuff, they are machined, I suppose. You get them from the store, but the store has to get them from a manufacturer. Right. And yeah, they just put some threads on this thing. Well, but how does it get there before that? And people just don't really, that's not part of the thought process. And so I always explain to them, well, that little component that, for example, the engine block in your car, the thing that makes your car go, the majority hunk of that's cast, and it's aluminum. But it was just something people don't really think about. Right. And it's cool because what you're doing is you're taking an absolute raw product, ingot, and you're melting it down at 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is super, super hot, and you're pouring it into sand, which is something that would seem unusual. Right. Because it's like, why would you use sand? But you pour it into a sand mold, and then it comes out as a part. and voila, you just made something from scratch. And that was something that was just so cool for me. And to be a part of that process and say, yeah, I made that from scratch.
Sure.
With sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Willie, what about you?
Willie?
Just to watch, I wouldn't even say it's elements because, we're pouring brass, but just to watch something like a piece of ingot transform and just become something different, that just kind of blows me away. We're putting it into this furnace, we're melting it down, you see it comes out close to the liquid form, go into a block of sand. Next thing you know, you got a saddle come out on the other end of this building.
Yeah.
Now you got to cut it off, grind it up, get it all nice and shiny. So you went from really a hunk of metal, a hunk of brass, now you got this round half circle shaped thing that's going to go on the ground. And it's like, just to see that morph and transform, it's like, you're really an artist.
Yeah.
We don't use clay, but we use brass.
I was just going to say that it is. It's when you go out there and you watch the guys on the deck pouring the brass, it's like they know they got the timing down. It's an art. It is not. I mean, it's a job, but it is an art.
I'm telling you, if you come in and you watch Josh Ragnar, he's one of the senior pourers on first shift. He pulls it, spins his pot. It's like he's dancing, fills it up, and it's like, I don't want to geek myself up, but like, this guy's an artist, low key. He's pouring it with such finesse, pulls it back, cleans it out, swap. He's going back again, and it's just what he does. It's his craft. So it's pretty amazing to watch. I wish more people could get a chance to view it, but we can't put up a big glass window and just have you view in.
Yeah.
But I wish more people could be in tune at how foundries play an important and essential part in everyday life.
Yeah.
I think, too, there is a huge, I'll say, danger element to the things that are being handled in the foundry, too. So I'm always impressed with everybody's commitment to being safe, looking out for each other, looking out for themselves so that there's not an issue. But yeah, that's the artistry, and then also managing that. There's a dangerous part of dealing with these type of materials. Yeah. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, every day. Those guys are out there and they're right around that hot metal. They are right there. And that's not even the only part in the foundry, that there are risks involved with the process. And, like you said, people are looking out for each other, and that's something that I don't think you necessarily see everywhere. And AY McDonald is so good about looking out for each other. Especially right now, we have a lot of new people starting, and even the people that have only been there a couple months already start to look out for each other and for the new guys, and everyone has such a good camaraderie in the foundry.
Yeah, we should, even though safety is a priority here, and I'm just glad the company does have it as I think it puts first. We just got to coin something new, nerves of brass. Because just think about it. No,
like
really,
that.
though.
I like that.
I said it first. Remember now, I said it first.
Trademark.
But think
Yeah, it is.
But think about this. These guys are running their hands towards these diamond edge saws every day to get as close as they can to make these pieces look nice.
Yeah.
These guys are handling 2300 degree molten metal every day. You get splashback, overrun. Like you said, it's dangerous. But these guys just have nerves of brass, and they're in there every day to accomplish a goal, to put out these products for people that we live around. So it's nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
You said that when you first got here, I believe you said you were a grinder. Give me what's that entail? I mean, what do you do there?
So just basically, as a grinder, your job in a production line is once the parts created, poured, they're going to be cleaned up, they come to you, and you have to use a grinding wheel to actually just get off any of the imperfections, smooth it out, so you can get it to the next line of the process.
Okay.
That mainly involves a lot of, getting these gates that are attached to this big casting, just getting those off and getting them nice and smooth. It's very tricky.
Yeah.
The pace is very demanding.
Yeah.
But I was decent at it. Wasn't the best, but I was decent at
Well,
it.
you must have done something right. You got promoted to supervisor.
I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
So, I just excelled at learning what I could fast and just being a good people's person. And I tell you what, coming in every day with a positive attitude. Yeah. It's hot right now.
Yeah.
Guys are not in the best moods. But if you can come in and smile and make the guy next to you smile, that's kind of contagious. Pretty soon you get a bunch of naysayers smiling and joking around, and people notice that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
What is the best part of your jobs?
I think that, and it's the same reason why the whole foundry environment appealed to me from day one, is just there's something so unique about our industry, and it is so unlike anything else that I've ever experienced. And there is an amount of pride that comes with your work because of the product that we turn out, and knowing how hard our people work and just doing what they can to put out the best. And and I'll say this, we are the best. We do so well at what we do that our name is out there for a reason. People know the name A.Y. McDonald, especially in this area, but anyone who's in the foundry world, they know.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
I would say it's just two things for me. People have heard me say it before, but I like to help people. So just knowing that what I do here is a pivotal part is important to you taking a nice shower, heating your house, you getting a nice essential glass of water every day. I make water and gas fixtures. I'm a pivotal part of that. So just knowing that I might not be able to be out there in my community, hands-on, serving my community, but I am behind these doors. Yeah. But then also, we're making a little shift in our workforce. Some of the older guys and older women are retiring, they're leaving, we're getting younger guys. I actually get to have my hands in on helping mold them. A lot of these guys, some of these guys never been told they're great. They can do a hard job. Yeah. That they're doing an awesome thing, coming every day, showing up, putting in a hard day's work. I get to be that guy. Yeah. I get to help you push out some of those negative thoughts in your mind just by helping you make, brass products. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
That's good. So you got to have one thing in your mind saying, since you started here at AY, you look back and you say, I can't believe that just happened, type of thing. The funniest thing that happened to you or somebody out there. Can you think of anything?
I feel like Willie has some.
I remember off bat.
Like, I got one.
Yeah.
I remember off bat.
Yeah.
So I was trained as a utility worker. I have dreads, so some of the guys always joked around. You should just drip them in the metal one day, da-da-da. You just see how it looks. And we know what'll happen. You put hair in that type of stuff. So I'm trained as a utility, and I get put up on the furnace deck today. So for you guys who don't know, it's my job on the furnace to feed metal into these big ovens I call them when people don't know, but they're called Ajax furnaces. And just keep them at a certain temp, keep enough metal and to make the products. So I'm just chucking ingot away one day. And one day, Jeff comes out and he tells me, that's our foundry manager, he's like, Willie, could you just get a little closer when you throw it, because I hear it dinging hard, just kind of slide it in there a little bit better. So I'm like, all right, I could do that. So a few minutes went by, and I just forgot what he told me, so I just start back chucking. I bounced a big ingot chunk off the furnace, it went inside and splashed, and here's metal pops up and goes right into my hair.
Oh, no.
So now you see me up on the furnace deck doing this, jumping around, and I look, and all these guys just watching me laughing. And then one dude comes up and said, Willie, you smell nice today. The smell of burning hair fits you well. And I'm looking, I'm like, I can't believe I just did that.
And everybody got to see it, too.
Yeah, they thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was glad that the whole foundry wasn't watching, just most of the pours and the guy helping me up there. But I never forget that day. I threw ingot in, some metal bounced back in, and got in the hair really, really nice.
They might not have been watching, but that spread around. Everybody had that.
It didn't take long.
It didn't.
No.
It's part of that camaraderie,
Yeah.
the teasing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Willie kind of mentioned that I'm a sand person, and one of the weird things that I learned the hard way was we were running a little bit low on one of our clay bins, and occasionally you had to go up there and tap the bins so we continued to get clay out, because that's one of the key ingredients to make our green sand. And I would go up there occasionally, and the one supervisor, Jeremy, taught me a trick, and he said, put a shovel in front of the little auger so that when you bang on it, it doesn't come shooting out. And I was like, oh yeah, that seems like a pretty smart thing to do. And so I did that from day one. And the one day I was like, it can't be that bad. And I just, for whatever reason, decided not to put the shovel in front. And not only that, but I was also standing on the back side of the kind of the hopper, and I decided to bang on it really good and hard and up high. Well, they also warned me that sometimes, particles of dust come down and you might get rained on a little bit, but I'm like, it can't be that bad, and it's like I'm a little bit dirty already, so what does it matter? And I bang on it a couple times, and then I must have got it just right in the right place, and all of a sudden I just feel like an entire coating of dust just go whoosh. And I just kind of like freeze, and I look down, and my light blue shirt is now black.
Oh, no.
And I kind of walk out all stiff, and one of the maintenance guys is looking at me, and he just starts grinning and laughing. And I was like, yeah, that probably wasn't too great of an idea. So he helped me kind of get cleaned up, though, and I walked back in the office, and right away Jeremy knew what had happened. And
They saw you. They knew.
Yep, told you so, and yeah, I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
So
I think it's funny that both of those lessons are like, maybe should have listened
Yeah.
to my supervisor.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's definitely that type of thing. You know, a lot of these guys are definitely passing down this knowledge, and you might want to listen.
Uh-huh.
You know, you just might want to get out your way and say, I tell guys now, take notes, man. Take notes.
Yeah.
Because these guys are not wasting their time giving you words of wisdom just to be talking to you.
Right.
You know, that shovel could have saved you a little bit.
yep.
That'll only happen once, you know?
Yeah.
So Willie calls you the sand lady, right? And you said green sand. Tell me what green sand is.
So it's kind of funny because we were also just recently at a couple of the high schools here in Dubuque promoting AY McDonald just as a company
Right.
that we hire people out of high school and stuff. And I brought a couple of samples of sand because I was like, oh, this would be cool. You know, kids
Yeah.
can touch it and play with it. And they can see that green sand is moldable, which is what makes it so great to use in a foundry. And every once in a while, the kid would come up and say, well, why do you call it green sand? Because it's not green, it's black.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, what a great question. and I kind of did that on purpose. And I said, you know, actually, green sand, kind of like wood. If you ever do woodworking and stuff like that, you know that working with green wood, it's not great because it'll shrink over time. And why does it shrink? Because it has moisture in it. That's the key right there. Our sand is, you know, like I said before, it has clay in it, but it also has moisture in it. So we add, the three main ingredients are going to be silica sand, clay, and water. And then we also have some carbon and a couple of other things that we add to it. But then that all gets mixed together in a muller, and which has two, well, I think ours might have 4 giant turning wheels, and it smooshes all the sand together, and it combines the water with the clay to make it nice and moldable, kind of like Play-Doh. And then it gets sent off to 4 of our automatic molding machines, and it comes down, and it comes down onto a 2-sided, what we call a pattern. And what that is just a board with the one half of a part on the top side and the other half on the bottom side. And so it puts sand down on the top side and it squeezes it down, and then it flips over and it does the bottom side and does the same thing. And then the 2 parts come out, pattern goes away, and then it slowly sets the 2 halves together and sends it off to get poured. So pretty neat stuff.
Yeah.
Sand is a great product to use in the foundry just because the silica expands and it's resistant to the heat to a certain amount, which is, it's kind of like ceramics. Like you think of pottery, how they can withstand so much heat, so much more than metal even, which is just kind of an amazing thing. In fact, our pots that we pour metal out of have a ceramic material in them. So
I never thought I'd learn so much about sand in my
I know,
life.
just,
Yeah.
just like her
It is.
like knowledge and excitement about sand. I'm like, I did not know that could be so exciting. But I was like on the edge of my seat, like
Now I know why you call her the sand lady.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I open up these files, I have to see numbers and stuff just because, you know, a good portion of my job are responsible for making sure the machines and the maintenance crew are keeping the machines up and guys are running them properly. So the part she's talking about that squeezes the sand, the cope and the drag of these hunters we use to make these molds, you know, you have to keep in tune with the numbers and the calibration of what's going on so they can run. So every time I click, the sand lady got the numbers right there.
Yeah.
You know, if I know one machine's running bad or the other supervisor, my co-supervisor, Jer, whenever we're looking and trying to make sure we're doing our job right, you know, a lot of her data and a lot of her research and what she does day to day, you know, we depend on that.
Yeah.
You know, I have to do a foundry audit once a week, and one of the big portions is what are the sand numbers, you know, the compactability, what the moisture looks like. So she's always up there at the molar pulling her samples, getting all that stuff in order. So, you know, it's just a good thing to have some young, fresh people with eyes or similar thoughts like you to help keep you in line and, you know, keep you learning and keep you sharp at your craft.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, we did a podcast with Rob McDonald, and one of the things he talked about was how the team in the foundry, one of the reasons there's so much camaraderie is because you really have to work together. It's not like one individual in a cell and they're just, you know, beginning to end making this product or fine-tuning it or whatever they're doing, and then there it goes. It's like you all rely on each other so much. So I think that's what you just said totally.
Yeah, pretty much.
Supports
you know,
that.
If her sand analysis is off, the guy can't make good molds. You know, if he's struggling to make good molds, now pours are waiting on work, and now they're getting a little frustrated, upset. You know, if the pours are not running now, they should run and do their job. Now the furnace tenders are overthrowing metals, not keeping the furnaces hot. They're not running right. Once that mess up, then the grinders or the saws might not be getting parts in time to cut them and grind them. You know, if you misgrind parts or you don't communicate parts are looking rough, we can't keep what we're doing. So you're very dependent on the guy in front of you and the guy behind you and your team around you.
And don't forget what you do. I mean, if things aren't running well,
Yeah,
if they aren't fine-tuned.
Yeah, but
know?
I got a different approach. You know, I try to motivate you, appreciate you, and kind of keep you in tune of why you're important instead of bringing the hammer down.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people just don't want to be yelled at or be. It's just like going in school.
Yeah.
Whenever you had to go see your principal, you always knew, what did I do now?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about just the maintenance, you know, making
Yeah.
sure everything is maintained and, you know, just like you brought up the car earlier. If you don't do everything right in the car, you know, the car's not going to run well, just like you said.
Yeah, and, you know, touching on also just the supervisor position and how important that is, you know, we say, you know, I'm in charge, or I work with the sand. I'm not the only person. Our entire quality people, they all work with the sand, and I work with the supervisors on the sand and the founder manager on the sand. Everyone is involved. And sand is an incredibly important thing that you would never
Right.
think would be that important, but there is very specific chemistry that goes into it. And as important as sand is, our supervisors not only have to be knowledgeable about processes like the sand, they also have to be knowledgeable about the metallurgy and the pouring and the molding and the core making and the core clean and the core dip and the grinding and the sawing and rework and inspection and the truck drivers and the blast machines, and we have a couple of different machines in the back, and knowing what parts go in which ones, and we run 2 different alloys here, which causes quite a bit of confusion on certain stuff, and these guys know it all. They are the person that you come to with questions, and they have the answers, and there is a lot of reliance on these guys. These guys carry a big weight on their shoulders, and then not only do they have to be experts in all of those processes, but now they're also helping to be leaders to their people. And, you know, like Willie, giving them good pro-life advice, like drink lots of water and eat better because it'll help you in the long run. And occasionally giving people just regular life advice, like how to buy a car, or the steps of going through getting a house. And these guys are there for their
That's cool.
people.
That's neat. That is neat. That's great.
So we know we've learned a lot about your job at
Yeah.
AY. What about before AY? What is and I have talked to you about this, but what is the worst job you've ever had?
Well, I remember when I was getting interviewed here, and everyone kept emphasizing that a foundry is very hot and very dirty. And are you sure you're okay? It's like, we're not going to sugarcoat it. Like, it is very dirty. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's okay. In college, I worked at the university farm, specifically in the swine center.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I would literally power wash pig pens for 8+ hours a day.
Oh.
And we would process piglets, you know, like clipping their tails, notching their ears, clipping their teeth so that they can't bite and stuff. giving injections to make sure that they're healthy, occasionally delivering pigs because the mother can't deliver, so you gotta, grab them. And
She's like, I got this, Foundry.
yeah,
Please, hot and dirty, bring it on.
yeah, and the squealing, and it was not exactly always cold in there. Yeah. It was. We had to keep a couple of the rooms temper controlled because pigs are really sensitive to that sort of thing. But yeah, the smell, the dirt thing, that would top it right there.
Yeah. She used to be the pig lady, now she's
yes.
the sand lady.
I'm the sand lady.
Yeah.
She got a promotion.
I don't know if you want to call her the pig lady, really. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a book lady, then I was the pig lady, and then I was a plastics lab lady, and now I'm the sand lady.
There you go.
Nice.
Like Mr. Sandman.
Yeah.
I'll bring you a dream.
Just bring me some better brass cast. I'll take that.
All right, Willie.
I've never had a bad job.
Really?
I have had some aspects for a lot of jobs that have been horrible. One, for example, I used to be a middle school wrestling coach. And I love the job just because I wrestled in college. It's something I'm very passionate about. But just dealing with the antics that goes with that, dealing with reporting to people in the school, in the district, dealing with parents. Mm-hmm. I remember one time I had a parent, just me coaching a kid. Both of my kids were on the same team wrestling each other. And I really had a parent upset that I wouldn't coach one of the kids. I'm like, how do you coach a brother against a brother? That's just weird. How do you coach, if we were at Hempstead, how do you coach a Mustang against another Mustang? That's just odd. Yeah. But, parents and people sometimes were really just kind of over the top in your business trying to do your job for you. And you just have to be – I'm a very direct person, so I used to always get flack for me telling people, it's my job for a reason. Let me do what I'm paid for. If you could do my job, you would be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's rude to say, but it's true.
Yeah.
You don't need people being – micromanaging you over your head, on your shoulder. You need support, but if you could do my job or you wanted to, you would be here. So just support me and let me do what I came to do. Yeah. So that's it. I never had a bad job, but I don't have some instances where dealing with people on jobs have been rough.
Have you ever had a bad day?
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
Yes.
I just cannot see you.
He oozes positivity. They both do.
I know they do. They both. It's like
It'll rub off on
it
us.
is. Yeah. I mean, I'm fired up. I want to go. Not today.
Don't do it today.
No.
I want to wait till November.
Yeah, exactly.
10 pounds lighter, you
Yeah.
might need some
Well, I
Lobon.
might want to go back. I might want to do that then. Oh shoot. So we've learned a lot about as far as what you do at AY and that sort of thing. What do you do in your spare time?
I got bulldogs. I'm a fur dad.
A fur dad.
Yeah, a fur dad. I'm a fur
Fur
pop.
dogs.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got three dogs. I got India. She's a half pit bull, half Labrador.
Okay.
Then I have 2 old English bulldogs. One's Buckley and one's Princess Fiona. So in my spare time, I'm just home chilling and hanging out with the pups.
So are the bulldogs the ones with like the wrinkly necks?
You know it, drool
Okay,
everywhere.
yeah.
The worst part is the farts that come with ownership.
I heard. I heard that. Yeah. And then drool and this. Yeah.
I think I'll stick with the peekapoo that I have.
They toot at you, then they look like, did you do that? It's like, bro, you know you let that out. That smells like all kibble. Just relax. But that's
What about
just
you?
In my spare time, it's not as flatulent
Yeah.
as Willie's dogs, but something that I've always enjoyed since I was a young kid. Growing up, my dad had, he would buy like an old Corvette and flip it and sell it. Yeah. And so we would go to car shows and stuff. And now, since moving into my new house, which has been the majority of my time, that's something that I've been looking to get into, is doing a project car. And it's part of the reason why I went into the STEM field, and I just liked working with my hands, and I loved seeing how stuff worked and all the different components that all worked together and made it run. And the sound, the smell, the feel, loved all of it. So if anyone knows of a good project car that doesn't cost too much, I'm in the works of looking for one.
That's great.
You are the coolest. I have two teenage daughters. I need them to hang out with you. Like, teach them a thing or two.
She's also an avid line dancer in her spare time.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dubuque here at the fairgrounds, every Wednesday they have Wednesday night line dancing, and I think they call it Wild West Wednesdays. And it's only $5 to get in, and it's from 7 to 11. And
Oh, look at her plug it.
So
She's doing a podcast.
She's been promising to take me. I'm still waiting.
Yeah, there you
This
go.
is the Wild West
There it is.
podcast.
It really is. That was one of the first, like, I feel like hobbies that I really had, besides the cars, that I really had and absolutely like loved to do. And I would go all through high school, and I went all through college, except my senior year because I had Wednesday night classes. But one time we got our professors to let us out early, and they actually came with us.
Really?
And I have pictures from that night. It was awesome.
She's
it was
recruiting
awesome.
for this
Yeah,
line
no
dancing
kidding.
event.
Tell me you should get free entry all the time now.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
That's great. I don't know. Do you have anything else? I mean,
Just captivated by the
I
line
know it.
dancing and the bulldogs and that's
farts.
the best. Yeah, that is probably the best part of this podcast is getting to know people
It
a little
is.
bit better.
It really is. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we covered a lot of stuff.
I think so.
Yeah. So,
I mean, this is your time on
what you
the
guys think?
After Hours podcast. Is there
Yeah.
anything you wanna?
Guys, just check us out. Everybody. I don't want to put a limitation on it, but embrace and engulf yourself in a little bit more, as much as you can, the life of Foundry, the life of Metalworks. I think it's very important. The world is making a shift, and we got to get back to paying more attention to the traditional work forms that actually paved the way for our world and our country. So let's just do it. Let's put a new age, a new look, a new stamp on what it means to live and work in a foundry.
Yeah, and there is no shortage of positions here to fill, and there's a wide variety of things that you can do, and there are even some positions that actually have you go and work multiple positions depending on the day and where there's a shortage and stuff like that. And not only is it, do I think, just in general that a founder environment's really cool, I'm mesmerized. Sometimes you'll catch me staring at someone pouring for like 20 minutes because it's just so cool to watch. But the people here are just absolutely fantastic, and I think it says a lot when I remember when I first started, I couldn't have been here more than a week, and I believe I ran into Rob, and he knew who I was right away, and just very casual, like, "Oh, hi Andrea, how are you doing today?" And I was like, "Hi." And for everyone to always be in such a good mood when I walk in the door, and I have 3 people, and sometimes you have people that you never even met before, and they smile and wave and tell you good morning, or when you're leaving for the day, they say, "Oh, have a good weekend, have a good night." It's just something that sits very well with me and makes me very happy to come to work every day and know that everyone's so positive and just welcoming of everyone.
That's great.
Well, you two are definitely adding to that whole environment. I mean, we're lucky to have you guys for sure.
Yeah.
We're lucky to be here. It's nice. It's fun.
Good. So, Willie and Andrea, we appreciate you taking the time and sitting down with us and just giving a little bit of background as far as what you do and kind of your spare time and all that kind of good stuff. And for everybody out there, I want to thank them for taking the time to watch this podcast or listen to the podcast. And go to aymcdonald.com or visit any of the socials. So, thank you.
Thanks.
I did the outtake.
Okay.
I did the
What
outtake.
you
Nice,
don't know
nice.
Yeah.
is the ending
Yes.
takes like 4 times usually.
Yes.
And there's some,
Really?
and there's swearing.
And there's cussing usually.
Yeah.
Son of usually comes out.
Son of a.
Yes.
And
Usually comes
once
out.
he screws up once,
Thank you for joining us for the first season of AY After Hours. We appreciate you tuning in.
stay tuned early 2022 for season 2. But in the meantime, if you have ideas for future podcasts, you can submit those to ayafterhours@aymcdonald.com. Thanks.
Thank you.